What happens when a Hollywood heartthrob's carefully guarded secrets get exposed on live television? The answer might shock you. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think really happened here. The Kelly Clarkson Show had always prided itself on creating a warm, welcoming atmosphere where celebrities could open up and share their stories. Kelly had built her reputation on being genuinely interested in her guests, asking the right questions, and making everyone feel at home. But sometimes, even the most seasoned hosts can stumble into dangerous territory without realizing it. Taylor Kitsch walked onto the set that morning, looking every bit the confident actor audiences had come to know and love. His rugged charm and easy smile had made him a fan favorite. From his breakout role in Friday Night Lights to his more recent dramatic performances, the audience erupted in applause as he made his way to the guest chair, waving and flashing that trademark grin that had melted hearts across America. "Taylor Kitsch, everybody," Kelly announced with her usual enthusiasm, gesturing toward her guest as the applause died down. "I have to say, you look fantastic. How are you feeling today?" "Thanks, Kelly. I'm doing great. Really excited to be here," Taylor replied, settling into his chair with practiced ease. "Your show has such a great energy. I can see why everyone loves coming on." Kelly beamed at the compliment. "Well, we try to keep things fun around here. Now, I have to ask because I know everyone's wondering, you've been pretty quiet about your personal life lately. Is there anything new and exciting happening that you can share with us?" Taylor's smile flickered for just a moment, so briefly that most viewers probably missed it. "You know, I'm pretty focused on work right now. Got some exciting projects coming up that I'm really passionate about." "That's great to hear," Kelly said, leaning forward slightly. "But come on, a guy like you? Surely there's someone special in your life. The fans are dying to know." The audience murmured their agreement, clearly eager for any romantic details. Taylor shifted in his seat, his media-trained smile still in place but something subtle changing in his posture. "I prefer to keep my personal life private, actually," he said with a light laugh that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I think the work should speak for itself, you know?" Kelly nodded, but there was something in her expression that suggested she wasn't ready to let the topic go. "I totally respect that. I really do. Privacy is so important. But I have to say, there have been some interesting rumors floating around lately." "Rumors?" Taylor's voice remained steady, but his knuckles whitened slightly as his hands gripped the armrests of his chair. "Well, you know how it is in Hollywood," Kelly continued with what seemed like innocent curiosity. "People talk. Stories get out there. I heard from a very reliable source that you might be seeing someone pretty well known in the industry." The studio audience was hanging on every word now. Sensing the tension that was beginning to build between host and guest, Taylor's media training was kicking in full force, but there was definitely a crack in his composure. "Kelly, I really don't know where you're getting your information, but I'd rather not speculate about my personal relationships on television," he said, his voice carrying a slight edge that hadn't been there moments before. "Oh, I'm not trying to put you on the spot," Kelly said quickly, though her tone suggested otherwise. "It's just that when someone as private as you suddenly starts being seen around town with another Alistair, especially when that person happens to be married," the words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. The studio audience seemed to collectively hold its breath, and even the camera operators appeared to tense up behind their equipment. Taylor's face went through a series of micro-expressions, from confusion to realization to something that looked dangerously close to anger. "I'm sorry, what exactly are you suggesting?" Taylor asked, his voice dropping to a lower register that anyone who knew him well would recognize as a warning sign. Kelly seemed to realize she might have pushed too far, but the momentum of live television carried her forward. "Look, I'm not suggesting anything inappropriate. I'm just saying that you and Margot have been spotted together quite a few times recently, and people are starting to wonder if there's more to your friendship than meets the eye." "Margot?" Taylor repeated, his voice tight with controlled frustration. "Are you talking about Margot Robbie? Because if you are, I think you need to check your sources again." "Well, the photos seemed pretty clear," Kelly pressed on, apparently unable to stop herself now. "Very cozy dinner at that exclusive restaurant downtown. Lots of intense conversation. I mean, come on, Taylor. You have to admit it looks like more than just a professional relationship." Taylor stood up abruptly, his chair rolling back slightly from the force. The audience gasped audibly, and Kelly's eyes widened as she realized the situation was spiraling out of control. "First of all," Taylor said, his voice now carrying unmistakable anger, despite his attempts to keep it professional, "Margot Robbie is a married woman who deserves better than having her name dragged through the mud based on some photographer's twisted interpretation of a business dinner. Second, what you're implying is not only completely false, but incredibly damaging to both of our reputations." "Taylor, please sit down," Kelly said, her own voice now showing signs of panic as she realized how badly she had misread the situation. "I wasn't trying to imply anything inappropriate. I just thought maybe there was a professional collaboration, or no. You thought you'd get some juicy gossip for your show." Taylor cut her off, his media-friendly facade completely abandoned now. "You thought you'd ambush me with some tabloid nonsense, and I'd just sit here and take it with a smile." The studio had fallen into an uncomfortable silence, broken only by the quiet hum of cameras, still rolling and capturing every second of the unfolding drama. Kelly's production team was frantically signaling from behind the cameras, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let the confrontation play out. The audience sat frozen, witnessing what was clearly an unscripted moment that had gone far beyond typical talk show banter. "Taylor, please, let's just take a breath here," Kelly said, her voice shaking slightly as she tried to regain control of her own show. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. I never meant to suggest that you were doing anything wrong. A misunderstanding." Taylor's laugh was sharp and humorless. "You just accused me on national television of having an affair with a married woman. How exactly is that a misunderstanding?" "I didn't use the word affair," Kelly protested weakly, but even she seemed to realize how pathetic the defense sounded. "You didn't have to," Taylor shot back, his eyes blazing with fury. "You painted the picture pretty clearly. Cozy dinners, intense conversations, her hand on my arm. What exactly were you hoping the audience would think?" Kelly looked desperately toward her producers, who were making frantic hand gestures that she couldn't quite interpret in her panicked state. "Look, I got some information from what I thought was a reliable source, and I just wanted to give you a chance to set the record straight. By ambushing me," Taylor's voice rose slightly, causing several audience members to shift uncomfortably in their seats. "By bringing up completely fabricated rumors without any warning, this is how you treat your guests." "The photos were real," Taylor Kelly said, her own frustration starting to show. "I saw them myself. You can't deny that you and Margot were photographed together." "Of course I can't deny it," Taylor replied, his words dripping with sarcasm. "Because unlike some people, I don't lie on television. Yes, I had dinner with Margot Robbie. Yes, we talked. Yes, she'd probably touched my arm at some point during our conversation. Do you know why?" Kelly remained silent, clearly afraid of where this was heading. "Because we're developing a project together," Taylor continued, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had reached his breaking point. "A film project that we've been working on for months. A project that her production company is backing, and that I'm not only starring in, but also producing. But I guess that doesn't make for good gossip television, does it?" The revelation hit the studio like a thunderbolt. Kelly's face went pale as the implications of what she had done began to sink in. Not only had she falsely accused her guest of impropriety, but she had done so based on completely innocent professional meetings. "Taylor, I had no idea," she stammered. "If you had just said from the beginning, if I had just said what?" Taylor interrupted, his anger reaching a new peak. "If I had just immediately divulged confidential business information the moment you started fishing for gossip, do you have any idea how these deals work? Do you understand the level of discretion required when you're putting together a major film project?" "I'm sorry, I really am," Kelly said, but her apology only seemed to fuel Taylor's rage further. "You're sorry," he repeated incredulously. "You're sorry that you just potentially damaged a multi-million-dollar film deal. You're sorry that you dragged an innocent woman's name through the mud on live television? You're sorry that you violated the basic trust that should exist between a host and their guest." The audience was completely silent now, transfixed by the raw emotion playing out before them. This was no longer entertainment. It was a genuine confrontation between two people whose professional relationship had just been shattered beyond repair. "We can edit this out," Kelly offered desperately. "We can start over, pretend this never happened." Taylor stared at her for a long moment, his expression shifting from anger to something that looked almost like pity. "You really don't get it, do you? This isn't about editing or starting over. This is about the fact that you thought it was acceptable to ambush a guest with unverified gossip. This is about your complete lack of professionalism and basic human decency. That's not fair, Kelly said, her own temper finally starting to flare. I'm a professional. I've been doing this for years. I would never intentionally hurt someone. Intentionally. Taylor laughed bitterly. So that makes it better. The fact that you accidentally tried to destroy someone's reputation makes it acceptable. I was doing my job, Kelly snapped, her carefully maintained composure finally cracking. People want to know about celebrities' personal lives. It's part of the territory. No, Kelly, it's not, Taylor said firmly. My job is to entertain people, to tell stories, to bring characters to life. My job is not to satisfy your audience's voyeuristic curiosity about who I'm sleeping with. The words hung in the air like an accusation, and Kelly's face flushed red with embarrassment and anger. I never said anything about who you're sleeping with. You didn't have to say it explicitly, Taylor replied coldly. We both know what you were implying, and so does everyone watching this train wreck of an interview. Kelly looked around the studio desperately, as if hoping someone would step in and rescue her from the situation she had created. But her producers were frozen behind their cameras, unwilling to interrupt what was clearly a career-defining moment for their host. I think we should take a commercial break, Kelly said weakly. Oh, now, you want to take a break? Taylor asked with bitter amusement. After you've already done your damage, after you've already shown your audience exactly what kind of host you really are. Kelly's face went from red to white in a matter of seconds. The accusation hit her like a physical blow, and for the first time since the confrontation began, she seemed genuinely speechless. The studio audience was completely captivated, some leaning forward in their seats as if watching a car crash in slow motion. What kind of host I really am, Kelly repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. Taylor, that's completely uncalled for. Taylor challenged, taking a step closer to her desk. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're the kind of host who ambushes guests with tabloid rumors, refuses to accept responsibility when called out, and then tries to sweep it all under the rug when things go sideways. I made a mistake, Kelly said, her voice growing stronger as her own anger began to match his. I admit that. But you're acting like I committed some unforgivable sin. This is how the entertainment industry works. Taylor, you know that? No, Kelly, this is how your show works, Taylor corrected sharply, and frankly, it's disgusting. You hide behind this whole wholesome girl next door image while you're actually just another gossip peddler looking for cheap ratings. The words were like a slap across Kelly's face. Her carefully constructed public persona was being dismantled piece by piece in front of a live studio audience, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. That's enough, she said, standing up from behind her desk for the first time since the interview began. I don't care how upset you are. You don't get to come on my show and attack my character. Attack your character. Taylor laughed harshly. I'm not attacking anything, Kelly. I'm just pointing out what everyone in the studio can see for themselves. You tried to manufacture a scandal out of thin air, and when it blew up in your face, you started making excuses. I was given information by a trusted source, Kelly insisted, her voice rising to match his. I had every reason to believe it was credible. Who? Taylor demanded. Who is this mysterious trusted source? Because I'd love to know who's been spreading lies about me and Margot. Kelly hesitated, and that moment of uncertainty was all Taylor needed to see. You don't have a source, do you? You saw some paparazzi photos and decided to create your own narrative around them. That's not true, Kelly protested, but her voice lacked conviction. Then prove it, Taylor challenged. Call your source right now. Get them on the phone and have them repeat their claims in front of everyone. The silence that followed was deafening. Kelly stood frozen behind her desk, clearly trapped by her own fabrications. The production team behind the cameras looked like they wanted to disappear into the floor. I thought so, Taylor said, with grim satisfaction. You know what the really sad part is? If you had just asked me about the project from the beginning, I probably would have told you about it. We're actually pretty excited about what we're developing. But instead, you chose to turn it into some sleazy gossip story. The audience wants to know about celebrities' personal lives, Kelly said weakly, falling back on her earlier defense. It's not personal, it's just entertainment. It's not just entertainment when it affects real people's lives, Taylor shot back. Margot is going to have to deal with speculation about her marriage because of what you did here today. Her husband is going to have to field questions from reporters asking about rumors you started. How is that just entertainment? Kelly's shoulders sagged as the full weight of her actions began to sink in. I never thought about it that way. Of course you didn't, Taylor said with undisguised contempt, because you don't actually care about the people you're talking about. We're just content to you, aren't we? Just stories to fill your show and keep your ratings up. That's not fair, Kelly said, but even she seemed to realize how hollow the protest sounded. Fair? Taylor's voice rose to near shouting level. You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I came here to promote my work and instead got ambushed with false allegations? Is it fair that Margot's reputation gets dragged through the mud because you needed something juicy for your show? The audience was completely silent now, some looking genuinely uncomfortable as they witnessed what had become a brutal public confrontation. Several people in the front row were filming with their phones, clearly recognizing that they were witnessing something that would be replayed across social media within hours. I think we should end this interview, Kelly said quietly. Her earlier bravado completely evaporated. Oh, now you want to end it? Taylor asked incredulously. After you got exactly what you wanted. After you turned what should have been a simple promotional interview into a circus. This isn't what I wanted, Kelly insisted. Isn't it? Taylor challenged. Because it seems to me like you got exactly what you were fishing for. Drama, conflict, something that people will talk about long after the show is over. Isn't that what good television is supposed to be? Kelly stared at him, unable to formulate a response that wouldn't make things worse. Well, congratulations, Kelly, Taylor said, his voice dripping with sarcasm as he began unhooking his microphone. You got your viral moment. I hope it was worth it. Taylor, please don't leave like this, Kelly pleaded, finally showing genuine emotion for the first time since the confrontation began. We can work this out. Work it out. Taylor pulled his microphone completely off and dropped it on the floor beside his chair. There's nothing to work out, Kelly. You showed everyone exactly who you are today, and I'm not going to stick around and pretend otherwise. He turned toward the audience, his jaw set with determination. I'm sorry you all had to witness this, he said directly to the crowd. This isn't the kind of entertainment you came here to see, and you deserved better. Without another word, Taylor Kitsch walked off the set, leaving behind a stunned studio audience, a devastated host, and a moment of television that would be talked about for years to come. The cameras kept rolling as Kelly stood alone behind her desk, watching her guests disappear through the studio doors. The silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity before someone finally had the presence of mind to cut to commercial. So what do you think really pushed Taylor over the edge? Was it Kelly's refusal to take responsibility? Her admission that she didn't have a reliable source? Or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories from Hollywood's most dramatic moments.